Welcome to What She Does, the podcast that takes you inside the working lives of everyday women shaping the world around us. I'm Liane Starr.
And I'm Annie Sinzinger. And each week, we sit down with someone who shows us not just what she does, but how and why she does it. Plus, find out if you fit the same mold to grab the same type of gig. Let's discover
What She Does, starting now.
Our guest today is April Neale, an entertainment journalist, talent booker, and TV contributor for KTVB, the NBC affiliate in Boise, Idaho. A Massachusetts transplant who reinvented herself in the Treasure Valley, April has built a remarkable career across TV, print, PR, and even wine country, proving that adaptability and a great network can take you anywhere.
Well, today we have April Neale, who is a talent booker for KTVB, the NBC Boise affiliate. Thank you for coming on our show. It's nice to have you. And so I guess the first question I would have is, this wasn't your first job.
No, given the lay of the land for people who do what we do for a living,
Mhm.
I had to reinvent myself so many times and create my own opportunities so many times that every connection I've ever had, everyone that I've ever met or worked with begot more work. And actually I just picked up a new client. I'm not only working at KTBB, but I'm doing marketing outreach and specialization for a wine AVA like Napa Valley. It's called Sunny Slope Wine. There's 20 vineyards, and they hired me to help them kind of bang their drum and get the word out. There's this fabulous place to go see award-winning wines and visit. It's a destination just like Napa Valley's. And how I got that was through someone who I had hired to sell ads for the magazine I started, Flavor Magazine, when I was writing for Idaho Magazine. So, each little connection, and it's always women, it's each little stair step has sort of netted another kind of turn, another avenue to make some money and just keep going. I'm not retiring anytime soon.
No. No, you're much too young to retire.
No, I'm ancient, and I should be retiring. I mean, but no, I'm not. I'm having too much fun,
All
and
right.
I like making my own money.
No
I
kidding.
I have no argument there.
I mean, I'm in a relationship. I'm fortunate, and the whole reason I'm in Idaho is to accommodate my partner's career. So I had to make it work for me. He came home 2015 and said, "Well, I survived the executive shuffle, and funny thing, my company's based in Boise now." And I went, "Where's that?" So, from Massachusetts, and I lived in Calabasas, and it was like,
No.
"Idaho? Isn't that where sister wives live?" And they have little hatchets. They steal their little hatchets inside the folds of their sister wife dresses and, ready to but,
Yeah,
yeah, I knew nothing other my mind went to the dark place, but I
which
was
is
pleasantly
part of
surprised.
what we love about you.
It really did. It really did.
But that was a good point that were in marketing, but you were also in PR and you work for magazines and like, how did you get here? How'd you get into TV?
It all comes from writing, the writing aspect of what we do, being able to put and adapt those writing skills. To me, PR, I could train a monkey to do PR. All it is really, I mean, yes, it's hugely connections, having media connections, having the clout to pick up a phone and get your client on a show or, a magazine cover. That's huge. That costs a lot of money. It's also understanding the news cycle and what's making news and how to basically create a story that's plug and play for local media so that they report, especially when you work in a small market like Boise. And that's how I got all my connections here in as far as the entertainment writing, because if my head was on fire, I couldn't have gotten anybody to pee on me to put it out. It was there was no opportunity when I got here for entertainment writing. None. It's like Hollywood is like, "What?" Idaho does not have any program or any incentive for filmmakers. They don't want them here. Yeah, they really don't. Now, conversely, rich people and stars love to move here. They're all in Sun Valley, I'm telling you. They all have second and third homes there. But, yeah, no, when I first came here in Liane, I got my little resume all polished up and I sent it to all the newspapers and the TV nothing. Crickets. So by luck, one of my very well-placed friends was an executive at Sony Entertainment, and she said, my sister is the queen of Boise. She runs a homeless shelter." I went, "Really?" She goes, "She needs some help. Can you do PR?" I said, "Sure." Totally had never. So I got my media list together while I was at the TCA. I was putting a media list together of all the contacts in the local media in Boise, and I met Jody Peterson, who ran the largest, low barrier homeless shelter in Boise. They take anyone, they don't make them pray to Jesus like the Boise Rescue Mission or anything. They don't do that.
Okay.
And, I I was there for a solid year. We had a remarkable year, and that's how I got to know the Idaho Press people and the KTVB people and the KBOI all the local media, because I
Yeah.
already had those contacts in my back pocket. So, fluidity. We're the water that fills the glass. Wherever that whatever the shape of that glass is, we have to be the water, to take advantage of these moments.
I
Um,
love that,
yeah.
the idea that we have to be the water.
I don't know about you, but nobody has ever given me a leg up or said, "Oh, here's a great job for you." It's always been me going, "Where is the hole that I can fill? Where can I be indispensable?" So,
I guess the other question, because so much of our podcast is about people wanna transition into they can't really follow in your footsteps because your footsteps are very unique to you,
right.
but what would you say to someone who wants to become a talent booker?
Understand what your core competency is. What are you good at? If you're good at writing and you're good at understanding and relaying that information. Now, of course, there are a lot of people in the chorus going, "But AI, the robots, we don't need to know." You still need people that understand on a newscast, say in a market like Boise or a smaller city or even Los Angeles. Stories have to be told. There's still broadcast television, there's still radio, there's still newscasts. If you're able to write and you're able to relay information in a way that makes a reporter's job easy, you can do PR. You can figure it out. You can get your client on television. You can get them booked on radio. If you are someone who likes wine and food like I do and travel, you can apply those skills to I worked funny story, I had interviewed Ken Burns for I think it was, Hemingway, who has an Idaho connection.
Oh, yeah.
So, I did a great piece for the Idaho Press, and a woman read it, and she called me up cold. Somehow she found a way to get my phone number by calling everybody in town, and she said, "Who are you, and why aren't you writing for me?" She owned a magazine called
Alright.
Idaho Magazine. And I said, "I don't know who the hell you are, but, you know." She goes, I want to reprint, I want to buy and reprint your article for my magazine. Can we do that? And would you write for me?" And with this woman, about a year into it, I said, "There's no food and wine magazine for Boise. Not a one. This is the capital city." And she said, "You're right." I said, "We need to have a food and wine magazine, and we can sell ads." That's how our magazine made money. We would sell full page ads and what have you. And the salesperson is the one that hired me for the wine AVA, but again, all interconnected. So flavor took off, and the hook with flavor was that I would use my Hollywood connections and my celebrity connections to get a star chef. So I had Food Network on speed dial. "Who do you have for me this month?" Brooke Williamson, Tiffany Derry, Guy Fieri. I mean, famous chefs in this Idaho magazine, and they would get the cover. And then what we did was we made sure we had a kiosk at the Boise Airport, which is the largest airport in Idaho. So it was incredible, and the magazine sold. So we're moving on, and I'm eventually I got to KTVB. Idaho Press came to me one day and said, "We love your content, and we don't wanna stop publishing you, but we don't have any more money." The newspaper, the lament of the newspaper man. "We don't have any money in the budget for entertainment writing, only hard news. But you can still write for us for free if you want." And I was I lost my mind, and a friend I had made had a show on NBC Boise called Idaho Today, and I said to her, "Let me book celebrities for you. You love to do the Zoom interviews, I can make it happen." And that's how it started.
Oh, that's great.
So
I
I
love that.
so to answer your question, you have to keep thinking, what is my skill set? Is it my connections? My writing talent, my ability to relay information or shape information, and how can I use that to create an opportunity for myself? And you have to constantly, I mean, for people that do, like, this kind of nebulous thing that we do, you know, your biggest enemy is complacency and not believing in yourself. I have an overabundance of confidence. It's annoying. I'm a very, what's the word? I fill up a room sometimes, and I'm like the 800-pound gorilla, and that's one of it can be a strength and a negative. Some people respond to it well, other people are a little put off by it, and I have to realize that about you. Have to realize, you know, how you are when you're a free agent and you are your business, as
Although I will
opposed to just
say
showing up and punching and being paid by the hour and going home. When you are your own business, you have to be aware of all these things. How
yeah,
people, take you.
but 800-pound gorilla has worked for you.
It hasn't. I've put a lot of people off too. Some people, you know, y there are people who don't respond well to a confident, um I'm not a shrinking violet. I never have been. And some people that works for them and they get in, they ingratiate differently. I know I've made enemies, and I've also known I made very solid, good friends as well, but, I'm too old to change. I really am.
It
I can't do
I
it.
I think it's worked for you, but that's just me.
Eh, for the most part, yes. Yeah. I told Michael Bay one time, I have a funny story. I'm gonna row back in time. So the
Okay.
Michael Bay. I was working one of my first writing jobs was with a magazine called Below the Line. It's a trade magazine like Variety. And we had an event, and Michael Bay showed up, and everybody was buying ads for this special. We were doing, like a pullout special, and, uh, he didn't wanna do an interview for some reason. I said, "Well, you need to do an interview in our" I mean, I'm telling this to Michael Bay, I'll never forget the look on his face. Basically shamed him into, like, agreeing to an interview, and he was in front of I mean, he was like this look of like, "Who the F are you?" But I didn't care. I mean, I just didn't care because what was he gonna do, fire me? No.
What advice would you give to somebody who or not advice, but what would you say to your younger self?
Oh my gosh. Um, Go to cooking school. I love it's the only domestic thing I'm good at and that I really have found I'm an incredible cook. I love cooking shows. I would have loved to have been a professional chef and have I come from a restaurant family, so I would have I love, creating food. I just love it, and I love, exploring different cuisines and seeing how they do things. Um, yeah, I really think that I would have flourished at, like, a culinary institute of America or a fine a cooking school. That's what I think I would've but other than that, I'm having a ball doing what I'm doing, and
Okay.
I can cook on my downtime, but I think I have a chef's personality. I know I have a big personality. I think it would have lent itself well to, like, a restaurant menu. Who knows?
Okay. That's not advice we would say to give to younger generations, but that's
AI is not gonna cook for you. Are you gonna have a
like,
robot unless you buy a robot and it's gonna cook, really? I mean,
yeah.
I
We
think
haven't
that's a
reached the Jetsons yet, no.
yeah, no, I mean, I think that's gonna be one of the last bastions of, like, humanity will still be appreciated in the kitchen
Yeah, the
versus a
service
robot.
industry.
Yeah, so, um,
Caretakers and chefs.
caretakers, chefs, plumbers
People who can
too.
work a fryer.
Those will all be automated too.
Yeah. Oh god. Well, yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I really well, you have children, I have children, I have 5 grandchildren.
Oh my god.
Yeah, right, and I worry about what kind of future, what kind of world they're going to, fold into as far as what they do for a living and how they navigate, I'm done for the most part, but I really worry about how kids are gonna make a living.
Yeah, because AI is going to take all of our jobs,
Yeah.
or take a lot of our jobs. Take some of our jobs, most
I
of our
hope
jobs.
here's my hope that it helps and enhances and streamlines and makes our work easier, but there will
Yeah.
always still be a need for people to direct the AI, make it your bitch, to use the slang. I mean, kind of make it work for you. But I
Mhm.
don't know. There's just and then I think no, I think Terminator was prescient. I think Idiocracy and Terminator are 2 movies
Oh my
that
god.
really that really kind of define modern future life. People have stopped reading. They read and absorb information that's patently not true, and they take it as that it is true, and then
Mhm.
they spread that non-truth, and so you have this proliferation of ignorance, and, I mean, I was at a store the other day, and the person, they were in their 20s, they couldn't even make change. Like, I gave
Whoa.
them cash money, and they're so used to people just tapping their card, the girl couldn't make change. It was just like she was just, like, staring at an open cash register like, "What do I do?" I'm not kidding. That's the kind of thing that scares me. Yeah, but,
That is
I don't wanna be
terrifying.
negative.
Yeah, we've just got woo.
You have to if you don't prepare yourself and you don't really know how to vet information and believe in yourself, it's gonna be very hard for you to survive,
So
you know,
that would be the main thing you would say, to believe in yourself.
and understand how to get to truth because it's now more difficult than ever. But yet, if I had this little cell phone, if I had this and my computer when I was in college, I would have been like queen bee, straight A, I would have been amazing. I had to go to the library and I had to use the Dewey Decimals. I mean, talk about a waste of time. And now it's like boop, boop, boop. Oh, here. Okay.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Just like I forget what we were watching last night, but my husband was like, "Oh, yes, he has 2 children." Yes. He just looked everything up on his phone. And I was like, "Do you remember when we just had to live in ignorance
Yeah.
and we did not have instant answers?
And you
Or
had
we
to,
had to
you could drive,
search."
you would just get in your car and drive without a cell phone. Like now you would never do that.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Oh my god. Okay, so we've gone a little off track, but
April, I was
It's
sort
all
of
tied
wondering.
together though, it is.
it
Your
is.
Yeah.
survival
Weirdly, it
skills.
is.
But,
Yeah.
It is survival. It is survival skills. I mean, technology is really a part of what we each do. We use it
Yeah,
every day. I think what you talked about earlier about AI in particular, I don't know that we know how to use it. I think that's part of what we're trying to figure out, which is why I think people are really afraid of it in a lot of ways, or they're talking about it as if it's going to be taking over jobs. And and the problem is that it can be a very useful tool, and
yes.
it is a tool at the end of the day, and just like a computer and the internet were tools, they will change the way that we each do different jobs.
Yeah,
And
totally.
yeah, it'll take away stuff. I mean, industrialization took away automation took away certain types of jobs. It's doing it still today, and that's basically what AI presents. But I'm sort of wondering, as a talent booker, what does your daily schedule look like? I mean, what does a talent booker really do?
Well, you rely upon your contacts that you built as what Liane and I did together when we covered entertainment journalism. You become very friendly with publicists over the years. And so a talent booker, I also write the full features. I don't just book the talent. I produce and prep the interviews. I write the whole features. So it's your relationship with PR for the different networks. And everybody has shows coming up. And so what you do is you just pay attention to who's being offered for Zoom interviews. You inquire constantly, I know this is coming up, this is the time frame I have. Who do you have? And being malleable to talk to different people. Sometimes they just wanna give you the not below the line, like, the director instead of the star, or they wanna give you, like, someone 3 or 4 clicks down the cast roster. You just say yes, because when you do those favors, and it's just like when you cover in writing, when you do those favors for, publicists, they remember you, and they like you, and you delivered for them, and then they come to you with better and better star opportunities so that, your bookings become, they percolate. Exactly. And they resonate a little bit more. I've booked so many people for Melissa Paul on Idaho Today, and it's just it's each booking begets more opportunity, and we do a fantastic job at writing it up and promoting it on our socials, and the interviews are very focused. They're only like 5 to 7 minutes, and, we don't veer into the weeds, we don't ask gotcha questions. It's very focused to the project, and that's all the publicist wants. They don't wanna be s you know, they don't want the client sidetracked, they don't want them, any gotcha questions, just focused on the project, upbeat, lot of energy because this is for a broadcast segment, and so the package has to have an energy to it, and it's not that hard to do if you've done what we've done, and you already start having those relationships with publicists. Again, the key to life is connection, connection, connections, and delivering for these connections and being useful, and they become useful to you.
Now, I also wanna ask, I'm sure you have a good story. You're nothing if not a good storyteller. So, do you have, like, a best moment as a talent booker? Like a
Um, let me think about that. Yes, the cast of Ted Lasso, which was a huge get, Phil Dunster, and he was fantastic, and then we got more of the cast, and, we're in Idaho, so this
yeah.
was a huge get for Idaho Today. The cast from, Wrexham, Welcome to Wrexham, that
Mhm.
was huge. Jay Leno,
Mm,
just, amazing that some of the cast from Shogun. Those were
mm,
all
oh,
really incredible gets for little old Idaho Today. So, and then, we do a lot of directors or writers. We do a lot of PBS stuff. Love the
Mm,
PBS. I have great connections there. And we're very we can't I can't book anyone from, like, a show like Dying for Sex, okay? Not for Idaho Today. It's just not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. It's just a little too out there. It's gonna be they gotta be shows like Ted Lasso where it's more family friendly-ish. Yeah. And so the really gritty stuff, sadly, I have to kind of walk on by.
I was gonna ask you if there was a dream guest
Gosh.
that you would like that would fit I guess, would fit the audience because you are limited by that,
Yes.
sort
Well,
of.
this is directed to all my NBC publicists, and they're boy, I love the cast of Saint Denis, the medical show Saint Denis,
yes.
yeah. People like that, I really, those are the kinds of shows. Reba from Reba McEntire,
Oh,
she has so many fans in the state, and she would be an incredible booking. I did a lot of the Welcome to Wrexham cast, but we never got Ryan Reynolds or,
Mm,
Rob McElhaney, who I love, and I used to interview, when he was on FX's or, Sunny in Philadelphia.
right, Philadelphia.
Um, Things like that, that makes sense for our show. Our show is, it airs at 12:30 every day, and it's gotta be content appropriate.
You've
Yeah.
gotten some really big stars. The fact that you got the entire cast of Ted Lasso is
Not the
pretty
entire cast, but a lot
oh,
of yeah,
a
not the
lot of
entire
them.
yeah, individually. So, no,
Well,
I didn't
that's
get
really
Jason
good.
Sudeikis. Did not get him. Love to get him. He's huge.
But I guess you got Hannah and
And Phil
Waddingham?
and,
Waddingham, yeah.
don't ask me to na it's my I'll be
I
like,
know. It
the
starts to get
names,
they're English, I don't know. Um,
but we have fun and the show, again, it's catch can, and it's gotta be appropriate for the audience.
Do you do a lot of different types of I mean, obviously, you do celebrities and stuff, but, like, uh, is there kind of a window of, topics that you can't that you have to basically focus on? So there's celebrities and a little bit of entertainment. You talked a little bit about, like, food and some other things. Like, do you have other types of content that you wish you could focus on?
Well, I don't know about that. I know KTVB is strictly celebrity and television and film focused, and that because it's their broadcast segments, they're 5 to 7 minutes. It's always focused on whatever the show is that they're promoting. Um, but, I had a lot of fun with that food magazine, and I'm having a lot of fun with this wine, ABA, this Sunny Slope wine, and learning about the wine business and, how unusual Idaho is for winemaking. Uh, we the Sunny Slope Wine Trail is built in the Snake River, all in the Snake River ABA. What does that mean? All the snow melt from Alberta, Canada, and Canada is absorbed into this basalt, sort of like sponge that hugs both sides of the river. It's volcanic, it's ancient, the water comes out of the side of the mountain. You can literally fill a water bottle and drink it. It's that pure. It's why we have such incredible trout and fly fishing and the 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 topography is incredible. What does that have to do anything? It's an interesting area and it nets gorgeous wines, and a lot of people just don't know about it. So
yeah, I had no idea.
if you go to my LinkedIn page, I have an open call for people who cover wine and food and travel. Contact me and we'll arrange tours. We'll make it happen for you to discover it. And it's very family friendly. Most every single vineyard allows children. They allow dogs. It is not stuffy. It is not exorbitant like Napa Valley. So I'm having fun with that. Along with the KTV, completely different. They're bifurcated. So I've got, the celebrity stuff and the things that we've always done, the TV and film stuff. And then I've got this fun, new business that I'm learning about and wanting to share what I'm learning and have other people experience it because it's really cool. I don't need to have them as a client financially. Do you know what I'm saying? I
Mm.
love it. I think they're interesting. I think what they make is a beautiful product. So many award-winning wines and 70% owned by women. Yeah, I mean, incredible stuff. And um, I'm at a point in my life that I will not work or will or work with anyone that I don't care for or don't believe in or don't appreciate, that there isn't a respect. So, I'm having a good time.
All right. Yay. Yay. um,
We've done our share of working for people that we didn't like, and we had to, and you just
yeah.
soldier through it, and I don't have to do that anymore, and it's a really kind of a liberating thing. I think that's the goal for everyone, that's in a creative sort of fluid career. I'm not a lawyer. I don't pick up my little lawyer bag and go to a lawyer office and sit down and do lawyery things. Or a doctor, and I gotta tell you, watching The Pit, I would have killed over. I would have never made it in the medical field, ever. The first laceration with the I would have been
Oh,
killed
yeah.
over, yeah,
I would have been like the girl who fell over in the
right.
operating room.
I
Yeah.
am so glad I never went into and I've got gotta love the doctors and nurses and people who do it, but anyway, I digress. So the people who have very set careers, you know, that's not me. I've had to be the water.
Yeah, but it's turned out. You done really well.
Well, we worked together for a short while.
Yeah, we did.
Funny thing, one of my articles when I worked at Cheapism keeps resurfacing on MSN, and I get the worst mail because it's aged, it's 10 years old. The
Uh,
best steakhouses in America, that article that I wrote for them,
uh,
and it's ancient information, like half the businesses are closed. So I get all these nasty emails, people reaching out to me on LinkedIn going, "You don't know anything." I'm like, "I wrote that 10 years ago, leave me alone." Anyway,
I could talk to you all day, April, honestly. But I don't know if you had any more questions.
just use your skill set. If you've got contacts, that's an asset. Contacts are an asset. Use them. Don't be afraid to use them, and don't be afraid to do things for them because people remember you, and they remember the kindness and the competency that you give them.
Yeah.
And if you deliver for someone, they know that they can trust you, and they will trust you with more and more and open up their kimono a little bit more and more to, you know, basically let you into their world. And that gives you such a platform to stand on so that you can create even more, you have more work to look forward to. I don't know if
I
that
love
makes any sense.
No, that makes total sense. So
It's all about the
I think
connections.
it's all about the connections.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially in the world of women working.
Yes. And in entertainment, especially.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
I think this has been great.
Check out some fabulous wine and see some incredible places.
Great.
Yes.
So
Thank you so much.
thank you,
Thanks for
April.
listening to my crazy my Vita Loca.
I loved your Vida Loca.
So, Leanne, I did not know exactly what talent bookers did or entertainment producers. I mean, I say that because my reference is really from television shows and movies. So, I mean, the one thing I did see is there's a lot of chaos that happens. I mean, has that been your experience in the past?
No, but I don't live in the morning show.
That's probably a good thing because there's a lot of
Yeah.
murder in that too. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I was interested to realize, and it makes perfect sense. Television is increasingly not about network, it's about streaming, it's about cheaper avenues to get your product out, and it's like, yeah, that will have an impact on talent bookers. They will
Yeah,
not be able to make as much. Although they made it previously, they made a good salary.
well, I think today, what I could find was the average is like 45,000 to 100,000 annually. But I think it
Mhm.
really depends on what market you're in and whether you do it for like whether it's a small, mid-tier or large, major market versus also what type of show you're on. Because I mean, we when we spoke with April, it was about a daytime, noon news kind of lifestyle show, and I
Yeah.
think it would definitely be different if you're working 60 Minutes versus Good Morning America, Today Show, CNN, whatever. Those are all different, right? But if you're in a larger city, you're definitely gonna make more money, it's just not that much more.
Yeah, and I really don't have any idea what what anyone would make in Boise for anything.
Well, it is a pretty small market, but, to
Yeah,
say that they were able to book people like, the folks from Wrexham and also from Ted Lasso. I mean, for her, that's a big
that's
win.
yeah, that's a really big win, I would think. So, yeah, I think being a talent booker, you can be well compensated, but it's also it appeals to certain types of people.
Oh, definitely. I mean, if you think about it, definitely extroverted for the most part.
Yes.
You have to be able to interact with a lot of people. You have to have a strong network. So, things like public relations and broadcast journalism, I think, really help in a role like this. But
Yeah.
I think also just in terms of depending on what type of show you're on, might
Mhm.
elevate certain types of skill sets or personality traits. I think if you are doing news,
Mhm.
then a lot of things are probably more transactional and deadline driven.
Yes.
And then if you're also somebody who's a good researcher, you probably would be working for a program like that. And
Yeah.
then the contrast to that would be something like a morning lifestyle show where it's much more warm, friendly, community focused, you have to be very welcoming. And
Yeah.
so also kind of a local type relationships matter a lot. And
Mhm.
then I think if you're looking at something that's more documentary based, then I'm finding that the introverted type of personality tends to fit well. So
Mhm.
somebody who's much more deeper research, longer lead relationship building. There's a lot of strategic vision for storytelling. So I mean, it really isn't about extroversion or introversion. I think it kind of leans heavily to extroversion, so you're more extroverted, but ultimately some of the key things I did find were understanding audience tastes, so you have to
Yes.
know what your audience is looking to learn about or want to see. And
Mhm.
then you have to be really good at negotiating. So you have to negotiate with agents. You also have to be very attentive to detail. You also have to like tie sort of understanding what you're bringing for the show to meet the goals of the show. So you have to be entrepreneurial in a lot of ways
Right.
and good at multitasking. So, a lot of different skill sets tied with the personality, features, I think are really critical for a job like this.
Yeah, you have to have a variety of skills, and
Yes.
it helps to be for the show that April's on, it helps to be outgoing.
Oh, yeah. If you're trying to bring in a lot of specifically entertainment, so that would be actors, directors, talking about things that people are really interested in. I think you also another skill set is really good under pressure.
Yeah,
Being able to pivot fast. You have to be able to sell the segment too. I
right.
mean The story has to be compelling. And then I think being really attuned to reading people, like being able to understand people easily.
Yes. Being able to communicate and make sure that your message is getting across.
I think the people who would struggle in a job like this would
Mhm.
be somebody who is a too deep a thinker who wants to do their job slowly, like perfection. Somebody who's a perfectionist would not do well in this because things change so rapidly.
Yeah.
And I think also, just think of it this way, if you're rejected all the time and you feel bad about being rejected all the time, then this is definitely not a good job for you.
Oh, yeah. Just although I think it would be pretty easy to look at, you're not being rejected, your show is being rejected.
Yeah, but I think some people take it very personally, and
Yeah,
so they really wouldn't be able to survive doing this if you're getting that response all the time and you take it
yeah,
personally. So, definitely, you have to have, I think, a little thicker skin to be able to, like,
right,
manage a job like this. I do
yeah.
think that it's interesting. What I did find out is that the overall job outlook is mixed, um, in the broader field of producers and directors, because that spans film,
Mhm.
TV, streaming, everything. There is some growth in it through 2034, like 5%, but as you mentioned earlier, I think television in particular, because they're facing all kinds of transition, anything in traditional cable and unscripted would start seeing some contraction, or at least has been seeing some contraction, while you're looking at digital and streaming sort of upending that a lot.
Yeah, everything is being squished by, streaming and AI.
Well, definitely some things to think about when you're considering this type of career. It's definitely an opportunity if you have the right kind of mindset and skill set, but it's going to be a lot of work for not
Right.
so great pay,
Yeah.
and also really hard to get into. Thanks for joining us today. That's what she does, and maybe what you could do too. If you like what you heard, make sure you follow What She Does wherever you get your podcasts.